Welcome back to another Miami Heat post-game show. My name is Amir, joined by Martel today. How's it going, Martel?
What's good, man?
Not much, and I could say the same for the Miami Heat as they lost their fourth straight game, which was expected, obviously, especially playing against the Denver Nuggets. But we lost 100-88 at home this time, and it was a close game. Not at the beginning, but second quarter we made it respectable. Third quarter, we actually played really good basketball, and we actually took a 1 point lead. I don't know if we led more than 3 points. I think that was the maximum we led, but fourth quarter, we fell apart. It's either the third quarter this year or the fourth quarter. Usually it was the fourth quarter, but either way, second half, we usually fall down on our faces somehow. We figure out a way to lose. And tonight we figured out how to lose by allowing Reggie Jackson and Christian Brown or Braun, whatever the hell his name is, literally beat us in the fourth quarter as Nikola Jokic took 8 shots total this game. He was 5 for 8, very efficient, but it seemed like I know we focused mainly on Joker and try to get the ball out of his hands and let the other guys beat us. But the problem is they have a lot of good players who outmatch us every game, and they found a way to beat us. So anyway, Martel, what are your thoughts on the game? We can talk about the game real quick, but also just what are your thoughts on this 4 game losing streak and just the outlook of the Miami Heat for the remainder of the year?
It all comes down to talent. People don't understand. Listen, the Miami Heat, yes. I think the problem with this roster and with this organization is they've seen success on a low budget. So, what I mean by that is for the past few years, we've done more with less. However, eventually, and it shows every year, talent will outwork you at the same time, especially when you have guys that are good basketball players like the Nuggets. They really have no weakness. They really have no weakness. The Joker, he doesn't have to score 50 on you because he'll have 20 rebounds and 20 assists. They're athletic. They also have a lot of depth, and they're huge. And that's literally every single weakness of the Miami Heat. We're small, we get out rebounded, and they have more talent. It is what it is. Their two best players are better than our two best players. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, playoff Jimmy. We're not there yet. We got to finish the season first. And I said this before, every single game counts right now. It doesn't matter what anyone wants to say about, oh, well, Jimmy Butler needs to rest. No, there's no rest. We're paying him $50 million. And then it also comes down to roster construction, but we can get into that later.
Yeah, I just don't think we could beat this team 4 times out of 7, and that's assuming or thinking that we can get to the finals and assuming they'll get to the finals, which is a pretty good assumption at this point because I think they're now first place solely in the Western Conference. I think they just overtook the Thunder tonight with this victory. And to your point, they could just beat you in so many different ways. Like they're not the best 3 point shooting team, but they'll score points in the paint with the Joker, with Aaron Gordon, and with Jamal Murray getting into the paint. They could kill you from the mid range with Jamal Murray and his nice little step back and mid range pull up game, right? And then they have KCP you can hit from the mid range. And then again, they're not the best 3 point shooting team, but because they don't play in transition a lot. They like to play half court offense. But they have players that can hit the three. KCP can hit the three. Joker can hit the three, and then Michael Porter obviously is their 3 point specialist, and he's been looking good. And they just look like a way better team than the Miami Heat in general. But just the matchup itself, we just can't figure out this matchup. I mean, Bam Adebayo did a good job of limiting Nikola Jokic tonight, technically, but he's still again 5 for 8 from the field. 12 points, but he had like what do you have? Let me look at his stats: 14 rebounds, 6 assists. Like so, he was still distributing the ball well, still getting the rebounds for the team. They're just too talented to beat us, and they're just one of the best cohesive teams. And their chemistry that they've built is unmatchable. It seems like at this point, so they're just getting better and better. They're 26 games above 500. What are we now? 5 games above. We're in the 8th seed and it looks like we're destined to be a playoff team. But what are your thoughts though, like on the way the Miami Heat kept it close this time? I know in the first quarter we were up 9-6, and we were looking kind of good, and they went on a 13-0 run and just destroyed us. But we were able to come back. So there's no moral victory. We're not doing any of that BS positive. Like this is crisis mode right now, right? We've lost 4 in a row, and all the other teams ahead of us are winning. But just how do you think, just to try to have like a positive spin, how do you think they played against them? Because we don't need to worry about getting to the finals and playing them again, right? Because that was the last game of the season. We need to worry about the East winning one game at a time, like you like to say. Like, if we played against the shitty Wizards the way we played against them, we would have obviously destroyed the Wizards. So is there any positive takeaways or just thoughts on that, like how they played and like hung in there and it was close?
There's nothing positive right now. Now I say that because, like I said earlier, every game counts right now. You know what I mean? This Miami Heat team, and this is where it really comes down to roster construction. How many games did we end the game with like 88 points? That means that we're struggling to score. How are we struggling to score? And remember now, and this is where we have to hold a lot of Miami Heat fans accountable. I don't want to hear, oh, Tyler Herro should come off the bench. Because now we can't really use that excuse, oh, well, the Miami Heat played better with Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson really hasn't played that well of late. Don't get me wrong, everybody goes through slumps, and I guess this is when he's going through a slump. But this is where we really got to reevaluate the team. And, it's like what I said before. Joker and Murray, they're better than Jimmy and Bam as a duo. As a duo, they're better.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because Jimmy and Bam, their offense, but it's not smooth by any means. It's not smooth by any means because think about it. If Jimmy Butler can't get to the free throw line, that's like 10 of his points right there. I would say that's a good 10 to 12 of his points that come from the free throw line. And he's clearly not getting the whistle. And Spo said it. He doesn't know if the NBA changed it up or whatever because people are starting to complain about it. And I'm glad because now, guess what? We're gonna play defense on you, and you can't just throw yourself up in the air, just to get to the free throw line. The refs are not blowing the whistle that easy. So that means that guess what? You're really gonna have to put the ball in the basket. And like I said, I don't care what anyone says. I would say our smoothest offensive players is Terry and maybe Tyler. Other than that, everything's clunky, and everything just looks so hard and difficult.
Yeah, I mean, we can't score in the paint. Like we have the lowest amount of attempts at the rim, and we're not shooting as many threes as we have in the past. And so, what are we doing typically? We're a mid-range team, and if you can shoot at a super high clip in the mid-range during the playoffs, that's how you win playoffs because those are the buckets that are more often available. And but our shot profile just is tough. Like we're taking tough, contested, mid-range shots, not making the three at a high enough clip like we have in the past. Like if this team is not shooting well from three, Martel, it's tough on us. Like we're 10th, which is fine, but the year that we were number 1 was the year that we were the first seed, like 2 years ago. Even though we lost to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals in that Game 7, where Jimmy missed that three. But the year after that, like in the regular season last year, while we struggled also against a lot of shitty teams, is we were like 20 something in 3-point percentage. We like flipped it, was the opposite. But then luckily in the playoffs, if you remember, what happened? The opposite. We started hitting a ton of threes. Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. Then of course Duncan got back in the rotation. Like if we don't shoot well from threes, we're screwed because like we can't get to the rim. Like I get it, Terry can get downhill, but he's taking like maybe 4 or 5 attempts in the paint per game. So I don't know if this is sustainable. It's the offense, right? Like it's the offense, and to the point that Jimmy and Bam are not elite enough on offense as a duo. Do you think this duo, based on their limitations offensively, compared to other players like a Jamal Murray and a Jokic as a duo, who can score in all different sorts of ways? Same with Jason Tatum and Brown. Same with Giannis. I mean, Giannis obviously can only score in the paint in the mid range, but him and Dame, like think of all the duos that are playing against the Miami Heat, like Kevin Durant and Booker. Like they can score in so many different ways, and the Heat can't. So, do you think the Heat are good enough to win the championship ever with Jimmy and Bam as our top two, based on their offensive capabilities, not their two-way, but their offense?
They can, but they didn't build the proper roster around them. So what I mean by that is, and it's like what I said earlier, if you know Jimmy Butler's going to miss majority of the regular season, you have to put high-level role players around Jimmy and Bam. Same thing with Bam Adebayo. I understand that Spo wants to play small, but especially when you have guys like the Joker and Embiid and Giannis, and you know you're going to run into those guys, the Boston Celtics, you can't put that all on Bam. You can't. You cannot put that all on Bam to say, yeah, just cover up everything else defensively and guard the best player on the other team. And we want you to score 20 and we want you to get 10 rebounds. That's a lot for 82 games because Bam doesn't miss time like that. When Bam misses time, it's because he's actually hurt. So can they compete with the duos across the NBA? Yes, because look at their playoff success. However, you should not just say that just because we get far in the playoffs. No, I still think this roster needed major improvements, and I think we are better than last year in terms of fit pieces, but especially with the length and the size, we haven't addressed that in like the past 3 years. Ever since the bubble, we should have addressed it because that's why we lost. Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, and AD. Bam is over here getting bullied by all three of them in the paint. And ever since then, we've never addressed it, and I don't understand why. Because think about it. Tyler Herro, he's our second best three-point shooter, and he's not here. So outside of Duncan Robinson, it's like what you said. Can Terry hit the three? Yeah. I mean, but he just got on the team. So I don't, you know what I'm saying? He just got here. Okay, so outside of Duncan Robinson, who's really hitting a consistent three-point shot on this roster? Caleb Martin, he can hit it every now and then, but it's not consistent enough, throughout like an 82-game series. I mean, a season.
And it's
Who
low volume.
and it's low and it's
Yeah,
low volume.
yeah.
So who's shooting the 3-point shot out here? Nobody besides Duncan Robinson. That's a problem. And then, like I said, the whole length and size, that's another problem. Because second chance points and getting out rebounded and getting offensive rebounds, that's going to drain Bam Adebayo. He's already running around. It drains the defense when you're constantly getting the other team's second chance points. It drains you. So I don't really think this Miami Heat team is really taking the regular season serious. I know a lot of Miami Heat fans are going to say, "Oh, don't worry till the playoffs." Da 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 da. Why do we have to be in the play-in tournament? Jimmy Butler said it's time. Think about it. Jimmy Butler got a lot of rest too recently. Remember, he
Yep.
missed a good week. He missed a good week or two or a week and a half just before the All-Star break. So he almost had 3 weeks of rest. Jimmy Butler should not be giving us less than 25 points a game right now. He's our best player and we are losing and nobody's holding him accountable. And all they're talking about is playoff Jimmy and that all these other wins are guaranteed. There's no win that is guaranteed in the NBA. None of them.
Especially in the Miami Heat. We are 2 and now 14 against the top 4 teams in the West and 4 teams in the East. So who are the 2 wins against? One against the Bucks, but we lost the other 2. So we lost the season series. So it's 3 games, right? 1 and 2. And the other one was against the Cavs. So we're 1 and 0 against them. But we have the Cavs, I think next week, we have them 2 more times out of our 17. And they haven't used injuries as an excuse. In the last episode, I talked about how big threes have missed X amount of games, and Boston and a few other teams were actually super healthy. And they've missed 70 games combined with their big three, including the game that we beat them. They didn't have Mobley or Garland. So they're back and they're still playing better now. So they were playing good while injured. Now they're still playing good. They're the 3rd seed, only like a game or half a game behind the Bucks. And so those are the only 2 teams that we beat. We're 14 and 21 or 14 and 20 against all teams that are 500 or above. So we're a mid team. The other teams that are mid-level, like the Magic or the Pacers or whoever in those tiers, the Mavericks, we're 14 and 20, so we're below 500. Like, who could we beat? Like, we were talking about this in the podcast yesterday or whatever, and Trent said it, Ernest said it, I think I even said it, like, we can beat anybody and lose to anybody, and I was talking to you about this before we hopped on. No, we can't. Who can we beat? We can only beat crappy teams. And also, we sometimes lose to them, like the worst team in the NBA, the Wizards. So, I don't know, man, this team is just so frustrating. And a lot of it is injuries. So, outside of injuries, what do you think it is? And outside of roster construction, just why are we so bad offensively? Is it because we're lacking
It
Tyler
starts with
Hero
Jimmy Butler.
points? What do
It
you think
starts
it
with
is?
Jimmy Butler. We can't use injuries as an excuse. This Miami Heat team has been injured every year drastically. Victor Oladipo season-ending injury. Tyler Hero broke a hand. Jimmy Butler twisted his ankle. uh, Bam Adebayo's shoulder. Now,
Yep.
last
Yep.
year and in 2020, the list is lengthy with injuries. And listen, it's unfortunate, but I can't use that as an excuse. Why? Because we've seen success. I think it starts and ends with Jimmy Butler. This team feeds off of Jimmy Butler. Whenever you see Jimmy Butler in attack mode, usually the team is on fire right there with him. But and then also too, it's like if he's not giving 110%, the team really doesn't follow. Because like I said, Bam has to cover up a lot. Tyler Hero's out. Kevin Love is out. Josh Richardson, he's out. And then also too, why is DeLon Wright not playing? Because these past few games, we've had a lot of people cook the Miami Heat. Luka, Shea, Kuzma, Murray. So why is DeLon Wright not why is he not in the game right now? That's why we
Exactly.
brought him here to make an impact. Don't get me wrong. I think Patty Mills has been great for the short time. He can score the basketball. But DeLon Wright was brought here for defense. And allegedly, we promised him playing time.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, we promised him playing time. So where's his playing time now?
I
And
I
how,
get
you
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
I get the theory of playing Patty because he's more offensive minded, can hit the three better, has a better pull up game than him, and like offensively, we're terrible. Defensively, we're nine, right? Like we were eighth, now we're ninth. And in theory, it's like we have enough defense to cover up other players, right? Like the Duncans, the Tylers, now Patty or whatever, I guess, because he's surrounded by a Jimmy, a Bam, a Caleb, a Haywood, whatever. But we're also getting cooked on the other end right now. And also, Patty Mills, he was 1 for 6. He played 14 minutes, 1 for 6, 0 for 3 from three. Like, all right, give him like a short leash of like 4 or 5 minutes, and he's like inefficient. Then put in DeLon Wright to stop the point of attack. Like Jamal Murray was doing whatever he wanted to today, and what do you have? 14 points. Actually, he was not that great today. Sorry. He was 5 for 14. He shot inefficiently. Felt like he destroyed us. It felt like whenever we watch these games, it always feels like Denver's destroying us, even if it's a close game. But still, we needed to slow the point of attack and the perimeter. And he's not playing. I don't get it. Like this game wasn't as crucial, I think, because Jamal Murray is kind of more of that 3-point shooter, the step back kind of mid range turnaround game. But like to your point, against Shy Alexander Shea, I don't know how to say it. Against him or Luca, like we need someone athletic, someone younger than Patty Mills who can help us defensively, and he's able to hit a three when he's open. Like he's proved that when we played against the Sacramento Kings, and he had a big game. So I don't know. Do you think he's hurt? Like, why do you think Spo's playing Patty over him? Like, I don't. Is it like why is Spo making this decision?
Listen, I wish I could tell you. Spo does a lot of things that are very confusing. And to be honest, he can really only deal with the hands that he's dealt. I'm just surprised, yes. They spoke about DeLon Wright and all the good things that he does, and he's only played like 2 games. And we're losing. And that's what I want people to understand. A lot of people are gonna say, don't worry, we're gonna be okay. We still got bro, we only have like 17 games left. And the main thing, and this is what I want all Miami Heat fans to realize in all the previous Miami Heat years, especially with the big three, when it comes down to like game 10, we're supposed to be resting up.
Yep.
We shouldn't be battling trying to still make because think about it, that makes no sense. Why on earth we had the whole regular season and Trent said this about the Clippers. They're taking the regular season serious. So that now when you have like 10 games left, you can afford to lose. You can afford to lose some games. Why? Because you're gonna sit some guys. Because Bam needs rest. Bam
Yeah.
shouldn't play like the last. I would say like the last 3 games he shouldn't play. So think about it. We don't really have 17 games left. We have less than that because the last 4 to 5 games, our stars are not playing. Usually, you don't want them to play for what? Because guess what? Your playoff seeding is already set. But no, now we got to sit here and go fool around like with the playing tournament.
Yeah, and I love the Miami Heat fans who stay positive, like optimistic. Like I'm back and forth. Like I doubt the team. I believe in the team. I love the team, and it's hard to bet against them. But again, what are we betting against? Like they don't win the championship. So it's like, yes, you can bet against them. Like the ultimate goal is a championship, right? We're a contending team. We've been to the finals 2 out of the last 4 years or whatever the hell the stat is. Eastern Conference 3 out of the last 4 years. Like, what does it matter if we're not winning? So, like, of course you can count them out because they haven't done that yet in Jimmy Butler's era with the Miami Heat. So, this team, again, though, is capable of making runs and playing unbelievable in the playoffs, but they haven't shown that they are capable of winning a championship with this build. And there's different reasons, like obviously the size, the different cast of characters Jimmy and Bam have played with over the years, the injuries, and what makes people think the Heat are going to make a run again like last year. Like, that's insane. Like, to your point, or let's just get to the playoffs. Jimmy Butler will get to the playoffs, and Jimmy Butler says, "I don't care what seed I am, 7, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1." Like, yeah, you should care because I'm going to say this again, as I've been saying in other episodes, the stats don't freaking lie. Like, how many times has an 8 seed ever won? 0. How many times has a 7 seed ever won? 0. How many times has a 6 seed won? Once. Okay, that was Hakeem Olajuwon and the Houston Rockets, who had the second best defense and an MVP. Hakeem was the MVP that season. Do we have an MVP on our roster, Martel? No. So, like,
No, no.
that's huge. You know, like I'm sorry they were a 6 seed, but like they had the MVP. That happened once. 4th seed has won once. That was the Boston Celtics in the 70s with like Havlicek and like Hall of Famers. Like, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for a reason. Here's another stat, Martel. Outside of that, do you know how many times a 7th seed, if let's say Miami gets the 7th seed versus the 8th, because we don't want to play the Celtics, right? First round, like at least get the 7th seed at worst. That way you play either the Bucks or the Cavs, right? So you know how many 7th seeds have ever beat a 2 seed just in playoffs? Not even win a championship, just to win that round. Guess. Give me a
No,
number.
no, but think about this, Amir. We shouldn't even have made the playoffs last year. We lost our first
Exactly.
playing tournament game. We made the playoffs and with literally, bro, with 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, and didn't that game go into overtime last year, like with the Bulls?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it did or not.
But like you see what we lost our playing game to the Hawks. We barely made the playoffs last year, and this is what people don't understand. I get it. We made the miracle run, but think about what they're saying. Miracle. We made a miracle run. Don't get me wrong. They balled out. Yes, they did. But miracles are not promised every year like that. They think that Jimmy Butler's going to be able to do miracle run after miracle run after miracle run at 35 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They're already saying, "Oh, he's tired because he's playing the regular season." Okay, cool. And then when he gets to the playoffs, "Oh, he's tired because he had to carry the whole playoffs." So which one is it? It's everything starts and ends with Jimmy Butler. I don't care what anyone says. Every other team's best player, they get cooked if they score 17 points. Giannis can't afford to score 17 points. Luka can't. They crucify Tatum. And this
100%.
and this Miami Heat team is not good enough to just say, "Yeah, well, we're gonna wait to the play-in tournament to start carrying." We're not that good. I'm telling you, compared to all the other teams, especially on paper, we're not as good as them. I know people say, "Yeah, we could beat everybody," and nobody wants to see the Miami Heat. That's cool, but we got to take care of business first and win the games that's in front of us. I can't talk about the playoffs, and it's not even playoff time yet, and we're the 8th seed.
Yep. So, but going back to my stat, just to make a point.
Yeah, my
So,
bad.
so they're the seeding in the playoffs. They added the 7th and 8th seed like in the 80s, so like 1984. So in 40, let's say 40 years, okay. Guess how many 7 seeds have beat a 2 seed? So like if the Miami's the 7th seed, 7 times. That's it. You know how many games? You know how many? So in 40 seasons, there's 2 7 seeds each year, right? So out of 80 playoff matchups, the 7th seed has only won 7 times. So it's 73 and 7 if you're the 2 seed playing against them, right? So why do Heat fans think we can make this magical run again? It's like the numbers don't lie for a reason. You know what? You know how many times an 8th seed has beat a number 1 seed? Not to the finals. We know that number. The Heat were the only one, and the Knicks, right, to ever make it to the finals.
Uh-huh.
You know how many times an 8th seed has ever beat a 1 seed just in general? And again, in those 80 playoff matchups, whatever, in 40 years? 5. 5 times. So outside of the Heat and the Knicks making that run, 3 other teams made it to the next round. And guess what happened? They lost. You know why? Because they're not good enough, because they're the 8th team. And again, a lot of that probably is because of injuries too. I'm going to use that. I hate to use that excuse. I know you don't like it, but maybe that's our reality, and it is our reality. Like, we're just unfortunate. We're unlucky. You play with the cards that you're dealt with, like you said, and you figure it out. So, like, okay, this is like a what could have been, what if, right? Like one of those look backs on NBA history. What's if Jimmy Butler and the Heat were healthy anytime they went to the playoffs, which is a big what if, because so many other teams have won championships because of injuries, luck, right? Like Kawhi got hurt with the Spurs when he landed on Zaja's foot, right? What happens if he didn't get hurt? Or same thing, Kawhi doesn't win a championship with the Raptors if Clay doesn't tear his ACL and Kevin Durant doesn't tear his Achilles, right? Or same shit with LeBron winning against the Warriors when Kevin Love and Kyrie were out, or the opposite. There's just so many different like elements, and maybe we can use that as an excuse of why we haven't gotten better seeding. But I don't know, man. We're destined to be a playing team. We're still only 2.5 games outside of the Knicks, which is just insane. After going on a 7-game losing streak and a 4-game losing streak this late in the season, and we're still competing for a top 4 seed, like somehow. And I don't think we are going to get a 4 seed at this rate, but that's insane to me. But anything can happen. Like also the opposite can happen. Like we can let the Bulls surpass us. They're 4.5 games behind us. Like we could somehow like go the opposite direction and just keep losing. Like I don't think we're gonna lose to the Pistons, but we have hard games against the Sixers, the Pelicans, the Cavs multiple times. Like there's some difficult games. And the Knicks, we're playing against the Knicks. Like it's not the easiest schedule, to your point, when we could lose to anybody. I'm not going to say we could beat anybody, like I said earlier in the episode, but we could definitely lose to anybody, and that's damn right so far. So anyway, any final thoughts, Martel, before we hop off?
Make sure you guys like, share, comment, subscribe. Get Amir to 1,000 subscribers. Get us all up. Trent, me, with Ernest. Let's subscribe to the channels. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and thank you for all the support.
Thank you guys. So the Miami Heat play again Friday against the Pistons, and then we play them against the Pistons again on Sunday. If we don't go on a 2-game winning streak, the season's over. That's my opinion. So we better beat these Pistons, or I'm going to be super pissed and probably not watch any more basketball games for
Oh,
the rest of the year.
and then lastly, you see how quiet they are about Tyler Herro? That's a huge problem to me. Usually the Miami Heat, they do hide injuries, but they don't have any timetable. That's a very big concern, because even when he comes back, is he gonna have to be cautious with that injury? Is he gonna have to come back too early? These are all different things that we're gonna have to think about, and that is why seeding is so important. Seeding is so important because we need Tyler Herro. I don't care what anyone says. We need Tyler Herro. We need him. We need his offense. It might not always be great. It might not always be efficient, but we could use his shots going up.
Easily. 100%. He's a 20-point scorer. How many teams that can have a 20-point scorer out for this long and sustain, especially when they're not elite offensively, right? So we have 3 20-point scorers. One of them has missed 29 games now this season. And at this rate, when Spo said there's no timetable, he sure as hell ain't playing the next 2 games, right? So that's gonna be 31, and then it's gonna be 32, 33, etc. Like I'm thinking he comes back. I don't think he's out for the season necessarily. Like I don't see how his foot that has, like they said, tendonitis or some shit after he had the hyperextension with the knee. I think they're just being super cautious. I think they understand that they're going to be a play-in team or the 5th or 6th seed. Like obviously, if they're only a game and a half from the 5th seed or whatever it is, 2.5 from the 4th. I think they're just being cautious, and they're going to bring him in the last like 7, 8, 9, 10 games. Because if he misses 7 more games, that's going to be 16 in a row, which is like a month of basketball. So do you think he's out for the season? Do you think, or do you think it's more of what I was saying? Like they're just being extra cautious. They'll give him at least the last 2 weeks of the regular season to play to get back into shape before playoffs. What do you
Yeah,
think?
no, I don't know. I don't think it's season ending because they were like, listen, I think they would have came out and said it if it was really season ending. Nah, because Spo's not gonna go up there and just blatantly lie and say nah. But it's a pretty bad injury, and it's at a bad time where you need him because this is why we pay. You know, we paid him 100 million. What are we paying him 100 million
Or
for? He's not available. You see
yeah,
what I'm saying? This is when we need Tyler here because Tyler and Bam, they're the ones that are supposed to be helping Jimmy Butler. Yes, Jimmy Butler's the leader, but it also falls on Tyler Hero. Because remember, I keep my receipts. Remember, Tyler said he's in the same conversation as Luka, Trey, and Ja. I don't think that.
and
But if
Booker.
you're gonna make those comments, my
Yep.
man, you got to show up. It's time to start hooping. It's time to start balling it, and you got to be available. So the fact that he's been out for this long, I think someone said that he missed, or no, I think he only played 36 games. That's crazy to me.
You know the most he's ever played in a season?
Know how much?
67 or 64.
Yeah, and
So
especially when you're 23 years old, that's not good.
he's not Zion bad with injuries, but like 54 in his rookie year, 55 the next year, 67, 64, and fifth year, 36 right now. Like yeah, it's like you haven't in this soft ass NBA, like you haven't played over 70 games once. Like that's missing 12 games. That's understandable, right? Like 12 is like 12 seems like a lot, doesn't it? Like 12 seems like a lot, like in general. I
12 is a
mean,
fair number.
12 is a fair number, but it also seems like a kind of a lot, to a certain degree. Like, I mean, Bam's missed 10. Hopefully he doesn't have to miss any more. He sure as hell can't get rested unless he sure as hell can't get rested. I'm sorry. Like, how's Bam going to be rested? Like, we're only 2.5 games from the fourth spot. Like, until we're like definitively like locked into a playoff position and there's like a few games left, maybe, but that's just wild. Can't even play 70 games in a season. He's 23. So unfortunate, man. But anyway, thanks for joining me tonight, Martel. Thanks everybody for watching. Talk to you guys soon.